Hi, I'm Dr. Jason Kabler, and today I'm answering your questions here on Celebrating Financial Freedom. A few days ago, I sent out an email to all my followers asking for your most pressing financial questions. What are you concerned about? What kind of problems are you having financially in your life that you really need help with? And so I'm answering those questions this evening. This is the first time I've done this, and I hope to make this into a regular feature on the website and on my YouTube channel. And so hopefully it'll go over well and you'll learn something in the process. So right now we'll go ahead and get started and let's answer the first question. And the first question is from Memory, and she says, "Hello, thanks for giving me this opportunity. My main financial problem is getting out of debt. I've accumulated huge debt over the years to the extent that it makes me fail to pay for my basic amenities. I have been trying to get out of these debts, but every time I get frustrated and the debt just doesn't disappear." Okay, Memory. So the problem is it sounds like you've got a lot of debt and you're just not making any progress with it. So it's very easy to get disappointed, distracted, feel like you're not making any progress when you're trying to get out of debt, especially when you've got a lot of debt, because it can be real difficult to pay off a lot of debt. So usually the problem is when you have a lot of debt like that is that you don't always have the income to really make a big dent in that debt and still be able to live. And that's a problem for a lot of people, because there are a lot of people out there that just don't make a big income and they get in a little deep, a little too far in over their heads when it comes to debt. And that can really cause problems because it just seems like you can never climb your way out. But there is a way to do that, and it can be done even if you have a low income. I've seen many people do it before, and I really believe you can do this too. So the first thing you have to do, the very first thing, is you've got to get control of what's coming in and what's going out. And that means you got to be doing a budget every single month, a written budget. You got to tell that money where to go. And the way you do that is when you do a proper budget, it's not looking back. Like, that's what most people think a budget is. It's, what did I spend last month? How much did I spend on lights, electricity, gas, food, all that stuff? And you look back at it and you say, oh, well, okay, I spent more than I made, or I spent less than I made, or I spent exactly what I made. But when it comes down to it, that's not a good budget. A budget that looks back doesn't do anything for you. You need a budget that looks forward. And in order to do that, you need to spend all of your incoming money on paper before you spend it in the real world. That's what a really good budget does. It ensures that you absolutely have a plan for your money. You know where you're going to send it, and that's all you do. And so you see before you spend the money that you only have so much to spend on, let's say, eating out in a restaurant, or for gas, or for car insurance, or whatever. But it ensures that you never overspend, that you will never spend more than you make. Now, once you do that, once you have control of your money and you know where it's going and you know where you're going to send it every month, that helps you figure out, well, am I making enough money to pay off some debt? Am I not making enough money? Am I just barely scraping by? And what you'll find when you do that kind of a budget is that when you know where the money's going, you realize that you're wasting, in most cases, a lot of money. So when you start doing a proper budget, you actually end up with you find a lot of money in that budget that you didn't know you had, because you're spending it on things and that you don't always realize that you're spending on. And a lot of that money is just leaking away in small expenses. And when you get control of it, you feel like you got a few $100 raise when you start doing a budget. And so that's the first thing you need to do. And that will help you hopefully free up some money to start paying off some debt. Now, the next thing you need to do, that's going to help you also figure out that whether you have any money actually left over at the end of the month or not. So the next thing you can do, the next most powerful thing you can do when it comes to paying off debt is find a way to make some extra money. And when you make that extra money, you put it exclusively toward paying off that debt. That is probably, in addition to the budgeting, that is the most powerful thing you can do. Because when you have money that you can dedicate toward paying off that debt entirely, that accelerates that debt payoff. It keeps you motivated, and it helps you get out of debt. And when you may have otherwise thought that you couldn't. And there are a lot of ways out there to make some extra money, whether it's working a few extra hours at work, if they'll let you do some overtime, or you can start a little business on the side, or there are just all kinds of things that you can do with if you have special skills, like if you know how to edit documents, if you know how to let's say one of the things I recommend for a lot of people is detailing cars. People like to have a nice clean car, and you can make a pretty good chunk doing that. I've seen people make $70, $80, $90, $100 per car just detailing cars. You do a couple of those in a weekend, and you do that every weekend, and you've got $800 that you can go straight towards your debt. That's huge, man. That's a no-brainer. You know, how much you can charge depends on where you're located, obviously, and so that's just one thing. But if you have special skills like coding, you know, there's a lot of people that know how to code these days, and a lot of people need help with their websites. If you have that special skill, you can do that. You just got to sit down and figure out what your special skills are, what things you could do that people might be willing to pay for. And there is somebody out there that will be willing to pay you for it. And you can find them. You can find them on the internet. You can find them all over the place. The great thing about the internet is that you have an international marketplace for your skills. It doesn't matter. It almost doesn't matter what you do. There is somebody in this world that has access to the internet that wants the skill that you have. So sit down, figure out what that skill is, or those skills are, and you'll find a way to start making some extra money. So once you do that, you can really do a great job at paying down this debt, and you'll get it paid off a lot quicker than you think you can get it paid off. I've seen people do this so many times, and it amazes me how much just making even a little bit of extra money really accelerates that debt payoff and gets it done in no time. So I have some resources on the website. The first is I've got a whole series on budgeting. I've got a whole page dedicated to budgeting with free budgeting forms. I'll put that in the show notes so you'll have that, and a link to that, and you'll be able to access that and learn how to do a proper budget and have all the tools that you need to do that. So also, I've written a ton of posts on how to make extra money. I've probably got, gosh, at least 30 posts on the Celebrating Financial Freedom blog that will show you just dozens and dozens of ways to make some extra money. Some of them you can even build up to maybe even work that into a full-time income if you like. And it's really just about how much you're motivated and how much work you're willing to do. So you can check those out, and I will leave a link in the show notes to that also. It's I'll leave a link to a page that has a link to every page that I have for money-making ideas. So you can check that out. Got all kinds of great ideas there. So let's move on to the next question. Let me get back here to my emails and go to the next one. So the next one is from Bukola, I guess is how you pronounce that. I'd like you to advise me on what to invest in within 6 months that will yield me profit to pay my tuition fee. I'm a post-grad student and I have some money, but it won't be enough to pay for my tuition fees. What can I invest in with this small amount of money so I can be able to pay my school fees and have some extra income? Well, Bacola, that is kind of a difficult question to answer because it's going to be hard to invest in something and get enough money to pay for a college tuition within 6 months. If you're talking about a pure investment in the stock market or something like that, probably not going to work for you. In order to make that kind of money, you're going to have a lot of money put into the market. Which if you had that kind of money, you'd be able to pay the tuition. So that's just not going to work for you. Really, your best bet is to, as I talked to with the last person, memory, is that you're probably going to need to find some ways to make some extra money. And as a student, you've probably got some time to be able to do that, hopefully. You say you're a post-grad student, so I don't know, maybe not. Maybe you can find a job at the university though. Especially if you're a post-grad student, maybe you can be doing some research or get some type of funding for something, I would hope. But sometimes it can be hard, it can be difficult to work if you're a post-grad student because I know they really keep you busy. But at this point, that's probably one of the few things that you'll be able to do because just a pure investment is not going to do it for you. That's the best thing that I can tell you as far as how you're going to be able to pay for those tuition fees. Of course, you should also apply for some scholarships if there are any available, and even any government programs or anything like that that may aid you with your tuition. There are always programs out there that are willing to help. So you can check that out and see what you come up with. But just find any way to make money that you can. Probably at your university might be your best bet in order to do that. So let's go to the next question. And let's find Lorraine. Let's see. So with Lorraine, she wants to know, how does a person track every single penny? Is there a simple method to do that? Does tracking your income, does tracking your expenses start with gross income or your net income? Is it best to have separate bank accounts for different budgets, such as vacation, new car, clothes, etc.? It seems like I heard there is an online bank with sub-accounts for such things to do that with. And it said to keep your name anonymous, so I'll have to cut that out. So here's the deal. When you track every penny, that's how I recommend you do a budget. You don't have to do the way I usually do a budget is I round everything off to $1. So if let's say my paycheck is $5,000 for the month, I do a budget that equals $5,000. I don't do it down to the penny because that's just a little too much. You don't have to put that fine point on it. So when I put my budget categories onto my budget sheets, like for vacation, let's say $300, I'm not going $20.30. So if my electric bill was $120.49, I'm just going to round it to $120. If it's above 50 cents, I'm going to round it to $121. So I don't think you need to track every single penny, but just round things up or down as needed, and that will get you a pretty accurate budget. So that's the simplest method I know how to do it, and that's the way I've been doing it for years and years now, and it works great. And so you don't necessarily have to track every single penny, but you'll want to do that. You asked, does tracking start with your gross income or your net income? Well, it's the income that you have coming in to you to spend. So that'll be your net income. So there's no real reason to try and budget your gross income, because there's money there that you can't that goes to taxes and all that your employer typically sends out to taxes and all. So if you're self-employed, of course, you'll do that yourself. Now that will be a line item in your budget, whether that be taxes and those kinds of things. But that'll be part of your business planning anyway, not really your personal budget as per se. So now you're talking about bank accounts. Is it best to have separate bank accounts for different budgets, such as vacation, new car? And yes, I think that's a good idea. There are online banks out there that allow you to subdivide an account into sub-accounts. So let's say you have a savings account that you put all your savings money into for, let's say, for your next car, for your vacation. If you only pay your car insurance, let's say every 6 months, well, your car insurance money would go into there. You'd pay into that savings account every month, and when it's time, then you'd pay that bill every 6 months. So that's a great way to do it, and I believe that there are several banks out there that do it, several online banks. I know one of them, I'm pretty sure, is Ally Bank, ALLY, Ally Bank, that allows you to subdivide into accounts, and even some traditional banks will allow you to do that now. And so I think maybe CIT Bank does that as well, so you can check them out and see what they do. But that's a great way to do it, and you can just break down your savings account into many sub-accounts and have a line item for vacation. You'll have vacation money in there. You'll have car money in there for your next car. Let's say car repair money. If you need to be putting back for car repairs, for tires, for maintenance, oil changes, all those things that you normally do that should not take you by surprise, even though they typically do if you're not doing a written budget every month. So just another good reason to be doing a written budget every single month. So I hope that helps, and I'll leave some links to Ally Bank and CIT Bank and any others that I find that you can do sub-accounts with, and I'll leave that in the show notes for you. So let's try out one more. How about it? Let's see here. So Shantae, she has a question. What are some money-making ideas in order to build cash flow? And a separate question, how do you host ads for a blog? So let's start with the money-making ideas first. So there literally are hundreds, thousands of ways to make some money, to build up your cash flow, and that you can do in addition to your regular job. And that's what so many people are doing these days. The great thing about modern life is there are so many more ways to make some extra money than there used to be. And you know, back in the days before the internet, it was a little harder to do. I think there were plenty of ways to make extra money back then, but these days, not only is it easier to make extra money, but there are more ways out there to do it. And so, like I said in one of the previous questions, I've written a ton of articles on how to make some extra money, about ways that you can make a part-time income and even maybe build that into a full-time income if you like. For instance, one of the most popular ones is Amazon FBA. And what that is it's a program by Amazon. It's fulfilled by Amazon. That's the FBA part. And it's basically where you buy products from a wholesaler, you have them shipped to Amazon, and you sell those products on Amazon's website, and they ship out the products for you. They handle all the back end stuff, and you make the profits. So basically you're opening an online store with Amazon and letting them do all the fulfillment for you. It's a great way to not to have a retail business without having to have all the items shipped to your house, and you ship them out yourself, and you have to package things all day long, and you have to have a garage full of inventory and all that. You don't have to do that with Amazon FBA, and they do it all for you basically. So it's an easy business to get into. It doesn't take a ton of setup, and all it takes is a little bit of inventory on the front end. You don't even have to have a lot of inventory on the front end, just a few items to get yourself started, and you can build from there. So that's just one idea. And you can go to my Money Making Ideas page. Again, I'll leave a link to it on the show notes. And you can check some of those ideas out. Many of them are great, very low cost, even some of them no cost ideas to get started. So, and she also asked, how do you host ads for a blog? So, Shantae, I don't know if you already have a blog or if you're anticipating building your own blog, but the best way to get started with ads on a blog is to simply get Google AdSense. You sign up with Google AdSense, and you can place ads on your blog that way. And AdSense, Google will serve up the ads wherever you place them on your blog. And it's very easy to do. You're not going to make a lot of money with it at first, and it takes a little time for that to build. But it will get you started with ads anyway. Another way to do that is you can also sell display ads to businesses on your blog. And the way to do that is you can, especially if you're a very niche blog, you can find people that have businesses in that niche. For instance, if you are, if you have a blog on dog grooming, let's say, you can find, number one, some of the companies that sell dog grooming products, and see if they will be willing to advertise on your blog as a display ad. And that's very easy to do, and you can set that up rather quickly. Usually most businesses already have some creative ads produced, because most businesses are advertising online at this point. So many of them have our ads already produced, and you can just paste them, copy and paste them up onto your blog. Very easy. You can charge a monthly fee or a yearly fee or something like that, either way. And that works nicely. That takes a little more effort because you've got to contact a lot of businesses and just find the right people that are willing to do that. But it can be very profitable, especially the more traffic you have. Now, if you're getting to the point where you are getting a lot more traffic, one of the great things you can do is sign up with an ad service other than AdSense. AdSense is really mostly more for beginners because you just don't make a ton of money with it. But when you build some traffic, you can go with other ad servers like a Mediavine. That's the one I go with, and they do a great job. And you can make really anywhere from 5 to 15 times what you'll make with AdSense. But you've got to have the traffic to do that. I believe their minimum is about 25,000 sessions per month for you to qualify for their ad network. But it is very worth it. So you can work on building that traffic as well. And I'll leave a link to Mediavine so you can check it out. And I believe there's another one called Thrive Ads, I believe it is, and there's a few more out there. But Mediavine and I believe Thrive Ads are two of the bigger ones, two of the best ones out there. There's a newer one also called Bloomly. I don't know what their qualifications are, but I'll leave a link to them as well. So, well, that's all we've got for tonight. And what I want you to do, I hope you got something out of this tonight. This is the first time I've done this, and I hope to do this more and more often. Hopefully, maybe once a week, as I get more and more questions in. And let's see how this pans out. I would love to receive your questions. If you are willing to ask me a question and ask me about your most pressing financial problems, what you need help with. I'm willing to help out. I'm willing to answer and give you the best answer I can, so you can live a better financial life. So you can celebrate financial freedom just like I've been doing for over a dozen years now. So if you want to ask a question, just send me an email at jasoncabler@cfinancialfreedom.com, the letter C, financialfreedom.com. And I'll leave a link to that in the show notes as well, so you can ask all the questions you want. And I'll answer some of the best ones in the next video. In the meantime, go to celebratingfinancialfreedom.com. If you're looking for specific financial information, go there. Go to the homepage at celebratingfinancialfreedom.com and do a search in the search bar, and you can probably find what you need there. I've written hundreds and hundreds of articles that you can get the financial information, where you can get the financial information that you need. Also, sign up for my newsletter. Sign up for you can sign up for my 10-day Master Your Money email course right there on the homepage. Just scroll down about midway and you can check that out. So, all right, well, I hope you've learned something from this. I hope I've helped you out in some way. If so, let me know. Leave a comment, reply to the emails. However you get this information, I'll be looking forward to hearing from you.